Okay, today we are doing 1.6, day 1, which means we are learning how to multiply by a positive and a negative. We are going to go over problems 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 17, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Oh, and 23. So I know that sounds like a lot of problems, but I don't think these will take as long as it sounds like they're going to take. We have learned and come to the realization that if we multiply a positive by a negative, it becomes a negative number. So 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. 7 times negative 5 is going to be 35, but it will be negative. 12, negative 5 times 2 will be negative 10. This one might take a little bit of work. I'm going to erase that so that I can see. I'm going to start by doing these two multiplied. So this one might be stuff you don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. 5 times negative 9 is negative 45. And then times negative 2. Sorry, they have circled this and it should not be circled yet. But a negative times a negative, if you haven't got that far, makes a positive number because it's an opposite times an opposite. So it becomes positive 90. Okay, number 15. A football team lost the same number of yards on each of 3 consecutive plays. Now, we have to look at the picture. What is the total change in yards? I'm going to make sure that we recognize those are all negative 6. It might be difficult to see orange, so these are all negative 6. So we're recognizing that we have 3 groups of negative 6. So that will be 3 times negative 6, which is negative 18 yards. Or you write a loss of 18 yards. Number 17. Alex is working to simplify 5 times negative 8 times 2. What is the product? Well, I'm going to do 2 steps at a time. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. Then times 2 would be negative 80. So there's the answer to the product. Suppose Alex found the opposite of the correct product. Describe an error that he could have made resulting in that product. He could, there's lots of things. What does the book say? He may have forgotten to include the negative sign. That's about all it says. Forgotten. And we do that, don't we? I know I do. Forgotten to put the negative back in. That's a pretty simple one. Number 19. This one is supposed to be, because it says make sense and persevere. This might be difficult. While playing a board game, Cecilia had to move back 6 spaces 9 times. So we're moving back 9 times. And I'm already recognizing, obviously, this is a multiplication. 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. What integer represents Cecilia's movement on the board for those 9 turns? She moves back, and I'm going to put negative 6 spaces 9 times, which will be negative 54. And I'll tell you what, the book just has this answer. So I'm assuming that during the quiz that we'll have the same thing where you don't have to write a sentence and you don't have to think too hard about what it says. You just need to make sure that you know negative means moving back. 20. Anya makes withdrawals from and deposits into. So from is negative and deposits is positive. What integer represents the change in the amount in her account if Anya withdraws 12 each day for 4 days? So we could do repeated addition, but since we're working on multiplication, we're just going to say 4 times negative 12, which is too many buttons. Negative 48. Do they want a dollar sign? Nope, they just say negative 48. What integer represents the change in the amount? Isn't that the same thing? What integer represents? Those all match. The change, in the amount, in her account. If Anya deposits, there's the difference. I was looking for that. So if she deposits $12, then that would just be the opposite. So it'd be positive 48. And the book is going to leave off the positive. So there's the answer to that one according to the book. Look for the relationships. Explain the difference between the integer for the withdrawals. Well, withdrawals would be negative, and deposits would be positive. Okay, 21 is a higher order thinking, so it might be a little bit more complicated. And it's going to make me use a picture. Okay, a gold mine has 2 elevators, one for equipment and one for miners. I see that in the picture. One day, the equipment elevator begins to descend. That's this one, okay. After 28 seconds, the elevator for the miners begins to descend. What is the position of each elevator relative to the surface after another 14 seconds? Oh, that is some work. Okay. So, let's deal first with the equipment elevator. So the equipment elevator begins to descend. Okay, so he's got, so this one has 28 seconds. Okay. More than this one. So this one only gets to add 14 seconds, and this one only gets to add 14 seconds. Now that's hard to explain even without a picture. But if you think about a track race, someone always gets like a little head start. And in this case, the equipment elevator got a head start of 28 seconds. And that's why this one has extra. That's why this one has extra, because the second one works that way. So, what I'm going to do for equipment, I'm going to first have to add how long they have. And then I'm going to multiply it by its rate, which is 4 p per second. Okay? So let's deal with that one first. So 28 plus 14 is 42 times 4. I'm going to go off to the side somewhere. Do 42 times 4. I got 168. It's 168 feet. Okay? So after the 14 plus the 28 seconds, equipment elevator gets 168 feet. Okay, now I need to go to the other elevator, which is the miners. That's interesting. I wonder if it's true. So the miners is just the 14 times their rate, which is 15 per second. So 14 times 15. Oh, that might take a minute. 270, 041. 210. Oh, well, that rate definitely makes a difference. Okay. So let's make sure we've answered the question. What is the position of each elevator relative to the surface after another 14 seconds? So I've done part 1, yes. Part 2, at that time, how much deeper is the elevator than the miners? Oh. All right, fun. So we need to find the difference between the two. Deeper is difference. If I drew a picture, and it already shows you that there's a picture here, one's different. We want to know this difference. So that will be 210 minus 168 equals 42 feet. I could go off to the side and do that, but it's a little bit more difficult. I'm running out of space. Okay. Now, assessment practice, this means this is what you should expect on the assessment. Write the multiplication equation that is represented by the number line. So this is 1, 2, that's one group of, 35. So let's pay attention, because I almost didn't. Let's pay attention to our numbers on the number line here. See, they're groups of, they're jumping. So that's a group of 35, and this is a group of 35, negative 35. So that's negative 35, and there's two groups, times 2. Which of these expressions have the same product of negative 6 times 7? Well, let me find out what that is. That is 42 negative. So negative 6 times 7, that's a no. This one would. What is 14 times 3? I'm going to bet that it's 42. Yep. So now I need to find out, this one has 1 negative, this one has 1 negative. I don't think 16 times 3. So we've got our answers. And finally, we are done.